The movie begins with a middle-aged man named Hideo who is seated on a train and appears to be exhausted. As he makes his way back home, he stops at a nearby convenience store to stock up on a few things. When he gets outside, it has already started to rain. Quickly, he runs to his tiny house in the middle of a lonely neighborhood, using the plastic bag he is carrying to cover his head. Upon arriving home, he shares a delightful dinner with Nazomi, an inflatable doll. He talks to her about his day at work. He shares the bed with her and makes love with her. Once done, he takes out the private parts of Nazomi's body and washes it with some soap and water. Considering this to be the ideal life, Hideo continues to live like this. However, one morning, a strange thing happens when Hideo steps outside of the house to his workplace. Nazomi comes to life. The moment Hideo heads out to his job, Nazomi, the doll, begins to blink and eventually turns into a real woman. Nazomi slowly pulls herself out of bed and begins to make her way toward the open window. She extends her hand so that she can feel the chilly air and touch the raindrops that are dangling from the metal clothesline. She examines her appearance in the mirror while trying on many different outfits. She takes pleasure in each look, up until the point where she notices a maid's costume. Nazomi puts on the maid's costume and seems pleased with how she looks. After getting dressed, she happily walks out of the house and into the streets. She's wandering down a deserted alley when she overhears a young girl being called by her father. After overhearing the girl utter a phrase, she starts to imitate what the girl is saying. While walking, she also notices several people walking by to drop trash bags on one corner of the street. She gets curious and approaches the pile of trash to take a closer look. Suddenly, the garbage truck pulls over on the side of the road, and the collector gets out and begins collecting the trash bags. After separating burnable trash from non-burnable trash, the collector loads the burnable trash into the back of the garbage truck, leaving behind the non-burnable garbage. Standing at a distance, Nazomi notices an elderly lady offer a polite bow to the person collecting the garbage before leaving. She imitates her and follows her till the woman reaches a store. Nazomi settles just outside the store, where the old woman stops by for a small talk with the owner. A while later, she still seems to be aimlessly wandering around the city. She sees a group of children walking on the bridge. She goes along with them and even touches one of the kids' hands, but she quickly backs off when the kid complains that her hands are cold. Even so, she continues to accompany the children to the park, where she stays until their parents come to pick them up. She keeps on walking down the path by herself until she reaches the park, where an old man is sitting on a bench. But she keeps moving forward into the dark streets. Finally, she's strolling down the highway when she notices a brightly lit video rental shop on her side. She enters the store and looks around at everything with a look of childlike wonder and excitement on her face. As she approaches the register, she is greeted by Junuchi, one of the shop's employees. The scene changes when she finally finds her way back and comes home. When Hideo arrives home, he brings Nazumi to the park in her wheelchair. Nazumi behaves as though she is still a doll, without a shadow of a doubt. Hideo warms her up by placing a can of hot coffee on her hands. He finishes the evening by kissing her. The next morning, Nazumi goes back to the video store and officially starts working there as an employee. Junuchi patiently explains to her the procedures that need to be followed, while at the same time answering every question she has about this world without passing judgment. Days pass by, and she keeps spending time in the store and sneaking out right after Hideo leaves for his job. At the store, she's a big help when it comes to putting up the Christmas decorations. Her boss takes notice of her and inquires as to whether or not she would be celebrating the holiday with her boyfriend. She claims she doesn't have one, but she knows deep down that she's lying. The following evening, Hideo bathes her while he tells her about his day. He tells her that he went out and bought a new, more fragrant shampoo specifically for her. While they are in bed, he keeps telling stories about his day. He shows her the constellations that are painted on the ceiling of his room and enthusiastically describes each one to her before beginning to make love to her. Even though Nazumi is well aware that her role in Hideo's life is to fulfill his sexual requirements, that does not mean that she is not offended by how he treats her. A few days later, while she is walking to work, she notices that employees at the store are applying makeup to a female customer. She then goes inside to test it out. When she's done with her makeover, she hits the mall to do some window shopping. That day, she arrives at work looking happy in the new outfit she had bought. She spends the whole day assisting Junuchi in maintaining the shop's cleanliness. That afternoon, he takes Natsumi on a sightseeing tour of the city after they've finished their shift. During their trip, they discuss various aspects of life as they go on a train ride and walk along the beach. Additionally, he assists her in her beach bottle collection. At the end of the night, they choose to have a meal at a restaurant that offers a more refined dining experience. While Nazomi sits at the other table, she sees a child sitting with her father at an adjacent table. Nazumi starts drawing the child's doll, while Junichi quietly eats his dinner. Having observed the child's skill of throwing away her food to deceive her father, Nazumi decides to do the same. The child, Mo, gives her a knowing wink. Then, all of a sudden, the lights of the restaurant turn off. Mo asks her father what has happened. He tells her that there's a power outage. Suddenly, a few of the waiters walk over to Mo's table while singing happy birthday to her and carrying a cake. Nozomi is so amazed by the surprise that she asks Janucci if everyone has a birthday. Thus, Janucci explains to her that everyone celebrates their birthday on the day they were born. All of this is news to Nazumi, and she starts wondering about her birthday too. After dinner, both Nazumi and Janucci head out to go home. Even on her way home, she continues to draw figures that she is curious about. When she gets back to her house, she is trying to hide the bottles that she picked up at the beach when she notices the box that she came out of. While she is examining it, she hears Hideo entering the house. She quickly finishes her inspection. Almost immediately, she turns off the lights, strips off her clothes, and crawls into bed naked. She has come to the conclusion that she is a doll of a later model and of a lower quality. In her opinion, the only purpose of her existence is to fulfill Hideo's sexual cravings. The following day, she runs into the same elderly gentleman at the park. She takes a seat on the bench right next to him. He explains to her that people have nothing worthwhile on the inside. Nazomi agrees with him and says that she too feels empty on the inside. The elderly man shows sympathy by assuring her that her feelings are shared by the vast majority of people. After she chats with the elderly man, Nazumi narrates that she feels that no one is destined to be alone, as no one can survive alone. She feels that people need each other to make it through tough times. She feels that even if sometimes people can have disagreements, they can only feel complete if someone is in their life. Disagreements are just like the seasoning in the big recipe of life. A little sprinkle makes things interesting. Well, back to the movie. However, she continues to live her empty life just the way it is. As time passes by, she goes around the city or spends her days at work and fulfills her duty for Hideo at night. One day, while she is decorating the video rental shop ceiling, she falls off the ladder and accidentally cuts her wrists. She collapses to the floor, resulting in her gradual deflation. As soon as Janucci realizes what just happened, he reaches for the tape that's sitting on the counter. He then reinflates her by blowing in the plug that is placed in her stomach after carefully taping over the cut she has received. Nazumi thanks him by hugging him, and both of them finally breathe a sigh of relief now that they know Nazumi is safe. The following morning, Nazumi waits until Hideo goes to work before disposing of the pump in the garbage. She has a wonderful time bouncing around the house all day, playing with the lanterns and hanging from the ceiling. As she spends the rest of the day participating in different activities, taking pictures and touring the city on a boat, she brings her collection of bottles along with her. It is a happy experience for her. When the boat she is on passes under the bridge, she looks up and waves to the people she saw. After boating, she also goes to a jewelry shop and purchases a stunning ring for herself. In the next few days, as Nazumi spends more time with Janucci, she too begins to develop romantic feelings for him. Janucci reveals to her that he has been aware all along that she is an inflatable doll. He tells her that he recognized her immediately upon meeting her and that he is very much like her. When they go out again to explore the city, he invites her to accompany him on his motorcycle. They also enjoy themselves by going to the cinema and watching a movie together. In addition to that, he invites her to visit him at his house. He asks her about what she felt when she deflated in the store the other day, and Nazumi tells him it was painful. Moreover, in her opinion, she doesn't fully understand the kind of life she is living yet. Whenever she is with Janucci, she is happy, but whenever she is with Hideo, she is sad and empty. A few days later, Hideo visits the video store where Nazumi works as an employee. She rushes to the counter to assist the incoming customer, but she is shocked to see him instead. Although she assists him, she tries to hide her face so he cannot recognize her. Her employer thinks that Hideo is her boyfriend and that she is having an affair with Janucci because she is spending so much time with him. Her boss lets her know that he spotted her in the park with Hideo, and that's how he knows about him. In addition to that, Nazumi's employer manipulates her into sleeping with him by threatening her to reveal her secret to Janucci. Consequently, Nazumi is forced to provide him with a one-time fulfillment of his desire. Later that night, when Nazumi returns home, she is so embarrassed by what has happened that she hides under the stairs. In the middle of the night, while she is hiding under the stairs, she overhears Hideo celebrating by singing a birthday song. She can go upstairs. Once Hideo is inside the restroom, she climbs up to his bedroom to see what is going on. When she reaches upstairs, she sees that the room is bright and cheerful, with a brand new Airdoll on the bed and a cake in the center of the table. As Hideo makes his way upstairs, he notices Nazumi is no longer a doll. He is shocked and taken aback by what he saw. Nazumi explains that the reason she is considered a real woman now is that she discovered recently that she has a heart. She confronts him about his ex-girlfriend Nazumi and says that she is merely a replacement for Nazumi in their relationship. She tells him that he doesn't need to use her as a replacement for his ex-girlfriend. On the other hand, Hideo asks her to go back to being a lifeless doll. He tells her he doesn't want her to find a heart because he finds all of her feelings and emotions annoying. She is so surprised and agitated by what he says to her that she runs away from the home. Hideo follows her and looks all over town for her, but she makes sure that he won't cross paths with her ever again. After hiding from Hideo for a long time, she finally reaches a park and decides to stay there for the night. The next morning, Nazumi wakes up on the park bench. She visits the home of the elderly man she has become friends with in the park to take care of him and assist him in taking his medication. After taking his medication, the aged man politely asks her to touch his forehead, to which she readily agrees. As she does so, he says that he thinks people with cold hands have warm hearts. Furthermore, he also touches her forehead in the same way. Later that evening, Nazumi travels to the doll manufacturing facility where she was originally created. She observes a number of headless dolls that are currently laying on the table. The doll maker notices her and is happy to have her back. He claims that he is unsure of the reason why she found a heart, but he is confident that she must have experienced pain after becoming alive. When Nazumi affirms his proposition, he takes her upstairs, where the severely damaged dolls are lying on the floor. He tells her that they were just like her when they were younger, but the scars on their faces show how they were mistreated. He explains that as soon as the dolls are returned to him, he disposes of them in the garbage. He explains that he only throws them away once a year, in the spring, because the dolls are not burnable garbage. After talking for a while, a doll maker gives her a quick makeover. Just when Natsumi is about to leave, the filmmaker asks her whether or not she has found any beauty in the world. She nods and then bows before him to express her gratitude to him before departing. In response, he tells her that he is grateful for her for making him understand that dolls can have hearts too, and can also experience emotions. The scene changes to Natsumi going to Janucci's place, where she reassures him that she is willing to do whatever he asks of her. In return, he asks her if she would allow him to release her air, and then he will reinflate her in the same manner that Janucci did in the video store. She hesitates for a while, but then gives in to his demands. And sitting on his bed in Janucci's room, he slowly deflates her as she lies down on the bed, feeling all the pain as the air goes out of her body. Quickly, he inflates her by blowing into her plug before she can deflate completely. Once more, he causes her to lose air, and she experiences the excruciating pain that comes with it. It hurts, but she gains strength as he breathes life into her. After repeating this process 2 times, Janucci goes to sleep. As Janucci sleeps, Natsumi looks at his peaceful face and decides to do the same thing to him. She uses scissors to slit his belly open, and then tries to stop the bleeding with tape. Janucci wakes up, gasping for air. She makes an effort to take a breath through his mouth, but is unsuccessful. She attempts to stop the bleeding by applying a second adhesive, but it does not work. Slowly, Janucci bleeds out and dies a painful, slow death. With pain, Nazumi curls up next to him, cradling his head on her shoulder. After she has thrown his body away in the garbage, she goes to the park to spend the night there. She arranges her belongings on the bench and then takes off the adhesive tape covering the wound on her wrist. She sits there in silence to mourn the death of Janucci alone. Even though she has discovered a heart, she doesn't feel the need to continue living if Janucci is not there by her side. While she is sitting on the park bench, a drunk man passes by and tries to flirt with Natsumi, but she refuses to get along. The next morning, a little girl, Mo, finds Natsumi in the garbage, sitting beside all of the trash. Her bottle collection is displayed around her in an orderly fashion. When the little girl's father warns her to stay away from the garbage, Mo makes a trade with her for her ring in exchange for her doll. The little girl then runs away. With a heavy heart, Nazumi rolls onto her side. She gives the doll a hug just before she goes completely flat. Before she dies, she envisions how the people she has met will celebrate her birthday with her. She sees herself at the same restaurant where she and Janucci had dinner. In the flashback, Janucci is sitting in front of her. Her friends are singing the happy birthday song, and one of the staff brings a cake in front of her to blow out. In the end, Mo is seen going to her school gym wearing Natsumi's ring. The old man is strolling through the park, whereas a new worker at the video store has taken Natsumi's place. Also, Hideo gets himself a new inflatable doll, and everyone else moves on with their lives.